This video is sponsored by Established Titles. More on them later. DIY friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm Danie, and today's DIY in progress is the thrift flip of my dream cabinet. I found this on a whim and it was just a dream come true. I couldn't pass it up. So today's episode is all about thrifting and flipping that cabinet piece. But I also am sharing some really exciting news. Before I share all that good news, all of this thrift flip goodness, of course, I want to encourage you to subscribe if you are not already. Join this wonderful Creative Beast community because we do all things home and DIY, and sometimes we can get a bit weird. If you haven't already guessed, but we love weird. So with that said, let's get into this thrift flipping magical episode. Editor, roll the tape. Boop. All right, so let me share my great big news first. This spring, Jeffrey and I are going to be breaking ground on a brand new garage build. Okay, why is that exciting? What does this mean? This means a brand new workshop. This means a brand new DIY in progress studio. It means the She Shack is coming down.
You what?
That is bittersweet, friends, but it's so exciting. We are talking 10-foot ceilings, custom built workshop with proper ventilation and heat. So I have some fun blueprints that I'm going to share with you all. This is basically the shape it's going to be. What we're looking at is a 3-car garage, 9-foot high doors. This thing is very big. We have a big open space for the wood shop area. There's also going to be a space for cars. And then in the back, there is stairs that take you upstairs where we hop up into the DIY and progress studio space where all things creative and magical will happen.
Oh my gosh, you guys!
Oh my God, it's really fun though. And then there's gonna be this kind of like 6-foot door on the side that's gonna connect to our backyard. So the dog is going to have access to our garage space. It's just gonna be such good fun and such a great change for all of us. Things are gonna have a place, and we're gonna have proper wood storage, and then I'll actually have places for new tools to come in. We are planning to start this project in the spring of 2023, so I will for sure be bringing you all along for that journey. And I don't know about you, but I am truly excited about this. So if you are not already subscribed by now, this would be a good time to hit it because it's just not something you're gonna wanna miss. I want this studio space to truly feel magical and inspirational, and I just think this is gonna be such a great change for this channel at large. Being able to tackle bigger projects because I have a space that can actually sustain that. The reason why I brought all of this up is because the piece that I have thrifted and I would like to flip it in this episode is going to go into that future studio space. Was I planning on finding this piece now? No. Would it have been nice to do it in the spring? Yes. But I will say I did film this a little differently than my usual content. It's actually a lot more like my older formats because my body decided to bless me with a very swollen sty that was just not feeling very stylish, if you know what I mean. So I just wasn't feeling like myself throughout most of this flip. So I sort of kind of like stayed my distance, but you have future me, this guy right here, to tell you and walk you through the great story of how I flipped my dream cabinet for my dream studio space. So let me show you the piece in question. Here it is, my friends, this beautiful barrister's bookcase. I don't know why I'm talking like that. It's not a true barrister's bookcase for that to be so, like each shelf would need to be standalone and stackable and or movable, but I have been pinning and millinoting this style of cabinet for such a long time now that when I saw this piece listed for $150 on Facebook Marketplace, I just could not pass it up. This piece has 3 flip down glass doors with glass inserted shelves inside. We got 2 small drawers on the top and like kind of like an oddly built-in light inside. The hardware wasn't the worst, but I wasn't going to keep it either. You know what I mean? I will say this though. I realized why this piece was $150. It sadly was not an antique. It was a Samson International Casco furniture piece circa 2012. But beyond that, it was made with a lot of veneer wood. I would say maybe 40% of this cabinet was actually real wood. It was sort of tragic. I'm not gonna lie.
You broke my heart! Now I'm gonna break something of yours!
So I decided that we are going to flip this piece in a really fun way and not feel bad about it. I wanted to try something that I've never done on this channel before. I really want to completely strip this piece and then we're gonna whitewash it just to give it a whole new look and feel because it's not an antique and why not? Let's go in guns blazing, thrift flip a blazing. So let's go make this cabinet a one-of-a-kind cabinet piece by giving it some DIY magic. All right, friends, just taking a wee break before we start our DIY project to thank the sponsor of today's episode, Established Titles. First off, I would like to state that you are looking at an official Lady of Scotland. Yes, my friends, in order to have such a title, one must own a plot of land in Scotland, to which this certificate now concludes that I, Danie, that's me, officially own 1 square inch of land in Edelston, Scotland. Thus, as of today, I am an official Lady of Scotland. How did I get such an established title, you ask? Well, through Established Titles, of course. So Established Titles is a project based on a historic Scottish custom where landowners are referred to as lairds or lords and ladies in English. They allow people to buy as little as 1 square foot of dedicated land so that you can give yourself or a lucky friend or family member the established title of being a lord or lady. When you buy your plot of land, you're given an official certificate with a crest, and your certificate will feature a unique plot number with which you can then see the exact location of your land. See, this is where mine is. This is my land, friends. And now that I am a married lady to a family with Scottish roots, I feel a sense of duty to protect the land of my family ancestors, which is why I love their commitment to the preservation and protection of woodland areas in Scotland. With every order, Established Titles plants a tree and works with global charities One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future to support global reforestation efforts. I love this idea, and it is such a great gift that's kind of unusual and different, and with the holiday around the corner, I just feel like it's a good time to be thinking of unique gift ideas for your friends or a family member. Now, they do have a bunch of different packages that you can buy that include pairs or larger plots of land, and Established Titles told me that the first 200 people purchasing using my link will effectively be next to my plot or within a few minutes of walking distance, which I think is cool. So depending on how many of you want to become a lord or lady, we can build a little Scottish DIY kingdom together. How fun is that? So go check it out. Visit establishedtitles.com/DIY Danie and use the code DIY Danie to get an additional 10% off. Now the link is in my description box, so go get yourself an established title and help support the channel at the same time. All right, so now that we have an established title, let's start DIYing. I just really wanted to sit down. Are you guys mad? Okay, dear friends, so it was day one. Oh, look at me, my poor swollen eye. Before I began this massive DIY transformation, I wanted to give this piece a full clean down with soap and water. And then from there, I got all the hardware removed. There were also a million screws attached to this piece. We had 3 hinges per door, which included 6 screws each, 2 folding hinges, a magnetic plate. Don't even get me started on the back, but I don't remove that until later, but probably like 30 screws on each panel. It's ridiculous. And then to keep on top of this million bajillion screws, I did put everything into a baggie. Even if it's just unsorted in a baggie, that is better than nothing because you will lose one. I also removed the inside cross piece that allowed for the 2 glass inserts because I wanted to eventually only have 1 insert on the inside. And for the parts that were real wood, which were the drawer fronts and the doors, I decided to have some fun and bring back our old hack friend, Mr. Easy Off, to try and strip away the finish and color. I've had a lot of success with this in the past, removing the veneer and color from a bench, so I really wanted to give this a go again. And then for the actual veneer portions of this cabinet, aka the top and the sides and the inside, I was using a strong wood stripper. It sort of looks like snot and it can be a bit smelly, so if you're ever stripping a piece inside, I totally suggest that you use Citrus Strip. This stuff is much safer on the eyes, nose, and literally everything. But if you want to get the job done quickly, efficiently, and you can be in a well-ventilated space, I definitely suggest going with the Circa 1850 Dissolver. It works so well, and literally as soon as I put it on this furniture piece, I could just start stripping it off right away. Now, when you are stripping the finish coat off, you want to make sure you are always moving in the direction of the wood grain, and you can usually tell this by looking at the wood. Just follow the lines that the wood is moving in. You could already see such a difference in the color just by stripping that top coat off. It was just such a thrift flip win. Now, I did have some assistance on this day, so Deanna eventually popped in to help me scrape this bad boy down. But honestly, when you're flipping pieces with friends, it is just so much fun. It's just always such a hoot. Now, you will see the front and the bottom of this piece had some beveled edges that obviously you can't scrape with a scraper. So I'm simply using a small soft wire brush, which just removes the top coat with ease. And this just really helps you get into those weird areas. Honestly, we had this thing stripped in no time. And then coming back to the Easy Off pieces, after giving that product some time to sit on the wood, I started to scrub it with an abrasive steel wool pad. It did start to peel off, but like not in the same way that the stripper was doing it. My hope was that it would really lighten the wood up, so I did want to practice some patience. I hosed those windows off and then just let them dry in the sun. While I was waiting, I decided to remove the back panels. And then after giving it some time to dry, it sort of worked, but honestly, not really. So I added stripper to them and just started doing it the old elbow and grease way. So this is what the main cabinet looked like after all of the stripping happened. The stripper removed so much of that top coat and like the color for that matter. I was thrilled. Ow. Listen. My eye was so swollen and there was no way I was getting any potential dust in there. So we went turbo goggles, super safety. And you know what? Safety is cool, okay?
Ow! My eye! I'm not supposed to get pudding in it!
After the sanding was done, I could not get over how well that top coat and color stripped out of this piece. Like, it was starting to look so beautiful that I almost forgot that this wasn't a true antique. Almost. So now that the sanding was done, I wanted to get going on the new shelving pieces that I was adding into this piece. I actually had some leftover 1/2-inch scrap MDF from my IKEA Billy bookcase hack, so I popped this onto the ground. I'm sorry, when is my new workshop coming? Soon this won't be a problem.
When will then be now? Soon.
And used my track saw to quickly whip up 2 shelves. Don't worry everyone, I did dry fit the shelves.
Excellent, they fit.
Now the day was getting late, but I really wanted to get the inside in MDF primed, so I took out my tried and true Extreme Bond primer and primed the back, inside, and edges of my MDF shelving. MDF can be super absorbent, so I like to put a primer on it first before I paint anything, just to make sure that there's a nice layer in between the MDF and the paint. Like I mentioned, I wanted to give this piece a brand new look. I wanted to really whiten and bleach out the wood, so I decided to hit the wood quickly with this Part A, Part B wood bleach solution, which works really well to strip color from any wood piece. But honestly, your regular old household bleach works just as well, in my humble opinion, to do this. So don't spend a ridiculous amount of money to buy this product if you don't need to. But I had this kit already from using it a year ago and I never used it again, so I figured we might as well just use it up. Now the last task for my day was this beautiful cosmic looking Japanese Chiyogami paper. This is not the first time I've used this type of paper in a furniture piece. It was actually the same paper type I put into my cabinet flip that lives in my bathroom. I will link that video above if you haven't seen it yet. But earlier in the week, I did take a little visit to one of my favorite shops in Toronto. This place is called The Paper Place, which is a beautiful stationery store. But I found this cosmic paper and I just knew that this piece was going to live in my creative studio, so I wanted it to speak creatively to me. They didn't have enough of it to allow me to completely cover the entire inside of my cabinet, but I did have enough to do all 3 top surfaces and drawers, so that's what I did. In the past, I have used gel medium to apply it, but Mod Podge works all the same, so I finished the day with a little decoupage, and then at that point, I just left my decoupage and my wet bleach cabinet to dry. Day 2, it was a beautiful sunny day, finally, and my paper was fully dry, my cabinet was fully bleached. It was a good day. Honestly, that paper looked so good with the Mod Podge on it. It made the colors in the print look so much richer, but I had all this excess to cut off now, so I just easily flipped it over, cut the excess away with my blade, and voila. If you have the ability to apply it on and let it dry, honestly, go that route, because the line that I was able to cut was so clean, and I don't feel like I could have gotten that if I had cut it myself ahead of time. So, not to be a baby, but it was starting to get super windy and cold out, so we decided it was time to bring the cabinet indoors into the heat now that all the sanding was done. As we know, I didn't have enough paper to decoupage the entire interior of the cabinet, so I wanted to find a complementary color to the paper, and I decided to go with Hail Navy by Benjamin Moore. It's a really beautiful deep blue gray. I chose this in a semi-gloss. I wanted the interior to be super durable, so I basically just had to paint the entire inside of the cabinet minus the bottom shelf, which needed to be decoupaged, the 2 back panels, and we taped off the bottom of our shelves and painted the under shelves and sides. Now, while I waited for the paint to dry, I decided to give the bleach one more go. This time I was simply hitting the entire thing with your basic Clorox, like I said. I just wanted to give this piece the best shot I could. I had the time to let it dry, so I decided, you know what? Let's do it. We're hitting this bad boy with some bleach. And then the last step was to get the bottom decoupaged. I used a helpful rolled paper technique and just simply rolled it as I went across. It was super easy and super effective. DIY friends, we are on the hunt for the perfect vintage hardware. I need to find either a whole set of 5 or a set of 2 and a set of 3. We are trying to recreate a vintage look, so we're going to the best place I know, which is Legacy Vintage Building Materials. Because they have every kind of hardware you can possibly imagine, so let's go hardware hunting. Woo! I found some great hardware. Now, I will say this, I forgot to film this portion. If you decide to bleach your wood piece, you do want to make sure that you neutralize that bleaching agent. To do that, you can just hit it with a water and vinegar solution. Just put it all over the cabinet, let that dry, and then you are good to go. So after that was done, these shelves were dry, and it was time to put this bad boy together. Did I mention there was a lot of hardware for this cabinet? Because I swear it was like putting Humpty Dumpty back together again. Now, it wasn't until we started putting on the door that I forgot about spraying the old hinge hardware gold. So we took it off and outside I went. I was using antique gold. This is my absolute favorite gold for around my house, and I gave all of the hinges a good layer of spray paint, and then I just touched it with a bit of bronze spray just to add some depth and like extra faux antique-ness to it. I mean, hey, we didn't have a real antique piece in front of us, but I was gonna try and make it feel that way. That cabinet looked so good, but I did want to add some fun to this piece, so I had these color puck lights, so I decided to just add them into each shelf just to kind of illuminate the goodness that will be inside eventually. It was really fun because they worked off this remote and they could change colors. Will I use them? I don't know, but I figured having these little puck lights in there could give it a really nice look down the line in the studio space if I really wanted it to. So here I thought I was done, but then I kept thinking it just looked like it was missing something. Like, you know, when you look at a dog without a collar and it's like, oh, that dog looks naked. That's how this cabinet looked to me. It just looked unfinished. So I decided to give the entire thing a whitewash. I actually had this Annie Sloan paint. This was pure white, and I did a 4-to-1 mix with water so that it was super soupy, and just applied this all over the cabinet, and then I would wipe it down with a rag. Now, if I knew I was going to do this before, I probably would have done this before I put on all the doors and hardware, but you know, I just kind of went with the punches. But I have to say that whitewash did give it a really nice look. You could see all of the grain, but it just made the piece look a little bit more finished, you know? And then at this point, I was finally done this thrift flip, so here it is, my friends, the final flipped furniture piece. Here it is, friends, a completely transformed, modern-inspired barrister's cabinet. This was such a different look than what I was used to for flips, but I had so much fun creating this piece. It felt refreshing to change up my usual dark style and try something a little lighter, but I still felt like I was able to add my touch to it with the unique paper and antique hardware. Now, obviously, this is a piece that I would like to live in my future studio space to hold all of my design and decor books and DIY crafty stuff, but I thought for now, seeing it against my lovely wallpaper in the office was a nice way to display it, just so we could see what it would look like with decor in it. DIY friends, thank you so much for watching this DIY thrift flip transformation. Let me know, what did you think of this piece? Would you do this to something in your home? Let me know in the comment section below. What was your favorite part? And of course, sending love and a big thanks to all of my patrons, my DIY family. If you're looking for a DIY community to share all of your fun ideas and connect with, go check out my Patreon. It is linked in my description box. But of course, my friends, as always, stay positive, stay creative, and keep on DIYing. Bye-bye.